What's going on, YouTube family? Hey, T.O. here with Simplistic Fishing. Today, we are finally on part 6 of 6 for Cedar Creek Reservoir. So, the very last one, if you missed all the other parts, they were the last 5 days. Click the link up top. That'll take you to the lake breakdowns and you can see them all. And as always, on those Google Waypoints, I share them. Just look in the description. You can get the link, download them, put them on your finders, do all that good stuff. Hey, I don't want to delay anymore. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. We'll go through all that jazz. And other than that, leave me a comment. Let me know if you want me to break down some more lakes. And let's jump right into this thing.
Let's get started. So we're going to do the same thing that we did on the last video. We're going to start on the west side. So again, this is part 6. So this is covering zone 3. So basically we're going to go from about this point right here over, and anything south of that's going to be zone 3. Zone 2 was the middle of the lake, and zone 1 was the north of the lake. So let's go ahead and start on that shallow point we talked about when we were talking about shell beds on the last one. Now, if we look at this, there's actually a road bed that I didn't see that on Google Earth, but there's a road bed right off of this shallow point. Look how good this point is, man. All the 7-8 feet all the way out here. Has some pretty decent drop offs, has a road bed on top of it and some rocks. This is going to be a primary area to fish for sure. You've got a couple other waypoints that are out here. Some really interesting contours, obviously, that are out here. You've got some road beds, some old ponds. You got a little creek channel coming through here as well. So you definitely have plenty of stuff to scan out here to take a look at. You've also got some really nice drop-offs off of this flat, which is cool because you've got a nice deep area here on both sides. The deepest here is about 28 feet. Over here, it's almost 50. But if you look up on that flat, it comes all the way up to 16 feet, almost 12 feet in some areas. And then it has really nice sharp drops on each side of them. So where these fish icons are, this could all be a really good spot, especially come summertime. And the one thing to really notice here is you've got this major creek channel that's coming down through the middle of the lake. You can see it right here. And you can see where it's coming up, and it's getting really, really close to the edge of this flat. I bet this area right in here is probably primo. I would focus a lot of attention right in there, especially come summertime. And obviously on the top of the flat when they get up there and start eating. So moving on down, just mainly just normal stuff here. I'm not seeing anything crazy. We got a road bed here that we have. The one thing that really caught my eye when I got into Navionics, and I actually have Navionics on my phone, so I can break it down and see what all these different points are. And there's actually a couple more points on here. It's not showing everything, but apparently this is a very good spawning cove. So if you're out here in the springtime, I would definitely come over here and take a look at this area. Really defined creek channel coming right through the middle of it. Got some really nice sharp drops all over the place. Even back here by this dock, this dock has a really sharp drop. I mean, 8 to some 20 something feet just right off the edge of it. So that dock could be good. And then if you move back here, we've got that point that we talked about on Google Earth that we could see when the water was down. It was totally bare. There's a tree out on the edge of it. I think we actually marked that. A nice, big, long, shallow point, 3 feet all the way to there. And then it even comes out here and almost touches the creek beds. This would be a perfect staging area for spawning fish. You've got creeks going both sides. You've got a shallow flat up top. You got a little bit of cover for them to hang around. I mean, everything is a great recipe. So if you're pre-spawn fishing or during spawn, after spawn, whatever it is, pre-spawn, post-spawn, or spawn, I would definitely be taking a look at that area to see what you can find in there. And then once you get done there, again, springtime, you're going to travel this thing back and get back in here to the spawning flat, which are back up in here. And then you're just looking for that creek channel. Anywhere that creek channel touches those docks, fish that dock if you're dock fishing for sure. So it looks good. Lots of locals have put a lot of spots in this area, so you know this is a good area. So if you only had half a day to fish and you wanted to just focus on just a spot of the lake, or maybe you want to be protected by the wind or something like this, I would say this entire cove, I would just check that out. I bet you could go in there and catch fish pretty much anytime you wanted to. So moving on down, got another shallow flat point here. This, I believe, is the one we talked about where there just wasn't really much on it except for the edge of it. We did see a little bit on the edge, so I would take a look at that. And then moving on down here, this point doesn't look as healthy. It's got a steep drop, but it's somewhat gradual. But you do have a little point right here, and I believe this is like a little rock pile that's out here. But you got a really good drop off coming 5 foot and dropping pretty crazy. So I would take a look at this area right here, this break. Looks really, really good. Then moving on down, you got some pretty deep docks in here. So I don't see where the creek bed actually comes up and slams against the docks. Maybe right in here could be. This little somewhat of a point here might be a good area to take a look at right off the edge of it. And then moving in here, you can kind of see the same thing. Creek bed going back here, probably good spawning flats back in there. So definitely take a look at those areas. I'm going to move us on down the lake because we're getting down towards the dam now. There were lots of things down here that that caught my attention, and it was mainly just the contours. The contours were crazy down here. You can just see they're all over the place. So it was hard to really pick out a spot to say, hey, you should go focus here. You could scan this whole thing and probably find out where the good stuff is. But if you don't have all the time to scan, obviously the first place to start would be these road beds. So check out these road beds. Check out where this little dot is right here, because you've got a real sharp drop coming off a pretty big flat right over here. Then it goes 9 foot to 23 feet. So this could be a good area right here. And then move it on down that road bed. You just never know where they're going to be on those road beds. Maybe come over here. Again, you've got another flat that comes way out here. Look at this one. Way out here, 10 feet, basically in the middle of the lake. You've got nice sharp drop-offs off the edge of it. So this could be a good area to look. You've got some submerged culverts out here. You've got some gravel pits or some kind of storage facility stuff that they put in here, and culverts. This is getting pretty deep, 45 foot of water. But if you get up on top of these flats, especially this one, it's only at 12 feet, that could be a good area to fish all in here. And then you're not having to fish 40 something foot of water. So anyways, take a look at those. Those could be good. Moving on down here, I didn't see too much around the dam. You've got just some super deep water, and I'm not too much on fishing that deep of water, but obviously I would fish all that riprap that's there. And then moving over here, I looked to see if there were any spots. I think they just said this was somebody's sailboat dock or something like that. But you do see a road bed here, so check around that road bed, especially right in here. You got a road bed. You got a pretty decent creek channel coming through here, and then a pond ending right in here. All this area right in here, always scan those areas because they're different, significantly different, and you got that nice creek bed that's there too. So moving on back, if we look in here to see if there's anything as far as docks hitting the creek channels, these two docks right here could be pretty good because it's a little bit of a pinch point before they get further back, so they could set up there for sure. All right, then moving on up, another point that comes way out here, but this one's pretty deep, so I'm not sure I would mess with that one. But if you look right here, there's a little bit of a drop right here and a little bit of a somewhat of a flat that's right up here. So you maybe take a look in there. I'm not sure. Let's skip over that part. Moving out, we got another point. Somebody put a spot out there in 38 foot of water. I don't know, not for me, but one thing that catches my eye right here is this section right here by this dock. See where it goes in and gets really deep right here, and then it kind of stays deep, and then it finally moves back out. If I were to draw a box around those docks right there, that would be where I would fish on that bank line, is where that bank line really comes in deep around there and fish the edges of that, and then that whole entire bank line. Then moving over here, we've got a nice road bed, and you've got a nice point with some decent depth to it, about 10 feet. So check that out, and then really check out the edges right here. So look at this. I mean, this is pretty significant. Right off this point is a pretty decent drop. Just right off the edge. So take a look at the take a look at the flat, but also make sure you take a look at the backside of it where the major drop is, and see if there's anything hanging out back there. All right, then we're going to move on down, see if we see anything else that really catches our attention here. Again, some pretty good contours, pretty good depth to this lake as well. I don't see anything too major back in here. I would fish this point for sure. It's fairly shallow, 9 feet, pretty far out here. So take a look at these points. These can be really good areas pretty much all the time. Points are just what they are. Points are points, and points are good. So we got road beds here as well. So take a look at these road beds, especially these submerged culverts in the wintertime, in the summertime. Take a look at these submerged culverts. Sometimes they can produce some pretty good fish for you. And then again, we're looking back here. We've got a pretty good creek bed that comes over here. It hits the bank right in here. So take a look in there, and then just kind of look around. See if it comes up underneath this dock. This dock could be a really good dock right here in this area. And these two docks over here could be decent as well. So always be looking to see where that creek bed runs up against it. Again, you got another road bed out here off of a somewhat of a point. Some pretty good breaks right up here on the edge of the point, and then another road bed that comes over here off the side. Got a hidden road bed back in here in the back of this cove. It could be good, but it looks really shallow. And then someone put a marker right here on this dock, and I believe there's a brush pile right off the edge of that. So take a look at that dock. We probably even marked it in Google Earth. I just don't remember all of the spots. And then we get back in here again. We've got another good road bed that comes around here. And then back in here, we've got some really interesting contours. So it looks like it's like flooded timber and it's flat and stuff, but you got some nice contours around this dock and stuff. So take a look in this area right in here, right along those edges. All right, I'm gonna move us on out and take us back up here. We talked about this on the Google Earth video, so just take a look at that. I think we even marked a little creek channel back there, so take a look at it. But the main thing that interests me here is this nice shallow flat point that comes way out here. This is going to be a good area to focus on. Focus on that point. I love how it sets up with a creek channel here, a major creek arm right here. Just sets up really good. It's got good location of where it's at, so that's probably a really good area to take a look at and to fish around. So moving up, we're going to go on up the side here. We come up, we get around some riprap around the dam or the bridge that we talked about. This island looked pretty interesting because it looks, I would imagine they probably get back in here and spawn because it's pretty well protected. And there's some pretty good drops around this island on this side and then on this side as well, where it's really flat and then it comes out and drops off. I would focus right in this area if I were to fish around that island. Then moving on up, we're going to get back in here. We got a good creek bed back in here, and then we marked all this creek channel that comes back in here. And Navionics definitely does not do this area any justice because this looks like a very juicy area for the summer or for the spawning time, pre-spawn, post-spawn. You've got a really nice creek bed that runs here. You can barely see it with all of the dots. It comes up, it actually hits this dock right here, and this dock's got really good break on it as well. But this creek channel runs through and it looks like you can get your boat up in there and flip the bushes. There's bushes off to this side. It gets a little bit shallower on the side. This image just really doesn't do it justice, but that could be a pretty good area to take a look at. All right, then moving up, we got a road bed here that comes off of this point. And then we're gonna get all the way back in here and point out this right here. See where this creek bed's coming? And then all of a sudden it slams up against the point right here. This point is a very good area to look at. And then if you just follow that creek bed, these docks right here, these two docks, I would even fish all three of them maybe. Maybe not that third one, but fish these two docks right here. Those two docks could be really good docks as well. And then we're just going to follow this up. And again, when you get into Google Earth, if you go back to the last video, you'll be able to see these creek channels really well. And I've actually put spots on them to guide you into where this creek channel is. And I believe there are some brush piles or something back in here, but there is a good pond back in here. So that could have potential. I do like how the creek bed flows here. It hits this dock right here. And then if you just follow it down, they kind of intersect with each other right here off the edge of this point. So this point could be a good point as well. Right in there. All right, so moving on up here, we're going to come up. We got a road bed here, some fishing spot there. I can't remember. I don't believe it was anything too good. Got a little spot where the roads actually connect, and those are always good places to look too. So you could scan out here. This doesn't look that promising to me, I'm going to be honest with you, but you could scan out here and take a look at it. You've got a nice little creek bed that runs from the back of this, kind of right up against this dock, but it looks really shallow. But then if we just kind of follow it around, we look to see where it goes. I would check out this submerged culvert, see if you see any action in there, and then just kind of follow the creek bed around and see if it happens to take you anywhere. In this case, maybe fish this point. It's got some pretty good drop off and it's pretty close to that creek bed. So maybe fish those docks around the point. I would definitely fish these docks as well, at least a handful of them that are around this road bed, and fish that road bed pretty good. I like how it's close to that point, and I like how it has docks around it as well. Then we're going to move over here. We got a creek bed that comes back here and kind of splits, goes to the right and goes to the left. I don't see anything too crazy in here. I don't see where that creek bed actually comes up and touches it, but you always want to take a look. It does touch it right here. That's pretty shallow back in there. You may even take a look. Sometimes, it doesn't show it on Navionics, but this could be shallower than what it appears. And you might want to take a look right here, because sometimes when those split and they make that V, those can be some promising areas as well. All right, so we're going to move on up. We got another good point that comes off of here, so fish this area. Good point to take a look at. You've also got a good drop off right in this area, and you've got the creek bed on this side. So good recipes here. That looks like a good area for sure. Then we're going to move down, getting close to my favorite area. Of course, like I said, I haven't fished this too much, but I do have a favorite area already. But we got a road bed that's right in here. And then this is the launch that we talked about, launch in here. And then there's some rocks that are hidden right around in here. It's like a little ditch or something. And now that I see it on the contour, this could be an interesting area just right in here. It doesn't look obvious, but there's some rocks that come down from the bank. It kind of makes a ditch right here. There were some submerged trees back in here as well as that pond dam, but there's some debris that's right off the edge of this point. So you'll want to take a look at that because you've got the creek channel that comes up along the side. So this area in here is good. You got a nice flat that they can go up on feed. They're got nice access to deep water on both sides, possibly even some shell beds there. I don't know if that's too shallow or not, but you're in 9 foot of water. And then you got a submerged culvert and all that. So this area, I mean, just this whole area right here just looks really, really promising. And then again, you've got another kind of shallow flat out here that's got fairly deep water on one side of it. So right in here, so that could be decent too. All right, then we're going to move on down. Don't see anything too crazy here that catches my attention except for this right here. Right there by those boat docks. That's an interesting contour, how it 15 to 20 feet. It looks like there's some sort of a break that's happening right between those docks. So take a look at those docks. Take a look at that break. See if there's anything there. This point's got a pretty nice drop on one side of it right here. It doesn't stick out too much. I don't know if I'd spend too much time on, but it does have an interesting break on that side. So it's always worth taking a look at that. Always look at these road beds. Never miss a road bed. And then really just scan up it and you're just looking to see, does that creek channel actually come up and hit it anywhere? And this was really hard to tell. It almost looks like it just going dead center. We're going to move on. So moving on here, fairly shallow flat coming out here, but not much to it. So let's skip that one. We're going to go on in. Notice again, this area right here. So everything's pretty consistent. And then we get to these 3 docks and we start to get like a little bit of a flat that's out here right off the edges of the dock. And then the breaks are actually inside the dock, which is pretty cool. So I would definitely hit these 3 docks if I was fishing this area. I would take a look at those 3 docks and see if I see anything there. You got some really good contours here as well. And then you got a little bit of a shallow hump that's right out here in the middle. So, take a look at that. That might be a little bit too deep, but summertime humps can be great. So take a look at those humps anytime you see them. You've also got a good road bed that's out here. Sorry, I didn't mean to zoom out that much. Good road bed that's out there as well. And then moving on up, we get back in here, got another good creek bed that comes back in here with like an old road bed or something. Looks that might come in like right around in this area. So take a look at that. I think we even marked it on Google Earth. And then I'm going to move on up. Got some really good creek beds again here. A lot of the stuff just looks very similar. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. So again, what we're looking for is something that's just a little bit different, like right here. See where this dock comes off? You've got a pretty decent little flat here. It's a little bit wide, but you got a good drop off right off the edge of it. So fish around this dock, fish around that edge, see what you can find there. Again, you can fish every dock you want to in this lake and probably have a good time and just focus on those creek channels and see what you can find. We're getting up here again by the bridge, some more creek channels, because I'm not seeing too much to point out to you just yet, but trust me, we'll find something good in here eventually. Just lots and lots and lots of docks and buds. So here's a road bed up here that you can take a look at. It's right off the edge of a creek bed. So that's really cool. And you got another creek bed here meeting it and one meeting it here. So this area in here has some potential for sure. Moving up here, got the submerged road bed right here, especially being off the edge of a dock. So that would be probably a prime dock to take a look at if you were up here fishing in this area. And I'm going to scoot this back to make sure I don't get too far up here. On this creek channel, we've got this one marked as well. And I think before when I was telling you that creek channel goes by the docks and it wasn't marked well, I was actually confused in the area that I was in. So it was actually this area. And this creek channel actually runs this way and runs up against these docks and then back behind here. Any of this area right in here would be a really good area to take a look at, especially come springtime. It just looks really good. It says it's 3 foot, but when you look on it with Google Earth, it looks like it might be a little bit deeper than that. So go back there, take a look at it, see if it's worth going in there. It might be, it might not be, but it's always worth going to look at those creek beds and those shallow areas come springtime. Moving on down here, this is a decent little shallow point that comes out with some decent break off the edge of it. And again, we got a creek bed, so take a look in this area right here. Could be a hot spot, and it's really not that deep, so it wouldn't be that hard to fish it. You've got another little point that comes over here. You can't hardly see it, but really it's like 5 feet, and then it drops to about 11 feet. So there's a little hump that's just right out here that might have something there that most people are just gonna look past. The first time they look at the map, they're probably not going to see it. Again, you've got a road bed that's right here. It's a pretty good depth by all of these docks. We talked about that road bed. A really interesting flat area in this little pocket. And then on this, you got a little bit of a point coming out of this dock. Let's go ahead and skip that one. That one doesn't look good enough to want to stop at. A lot of creek channels again. Big creek bed that comes back here. Check out that Google Earth video. We probably marked those areas to show you exactly where that creek bed is. You got another good creek bed that comes around in here into this pocket and that ends in a pond. So if it ends in a pond, there's a pond dam somewhere in here. So check out the pond dam and check out these docks. This creek bed goes right along those docks. So again, those are always good areas to find fish when you find those creek channels or those creek beds come up against it. Another road bed coming underneath this dock. So take a look at this dock. I'm going to zoom back out so I don't lose out where I am. We've got a road bed here, and there's a ramp or something that was right in here. I can't remember what it was, but check out the road bed, fish around this area. This is always good. You've got a pretty deep hump here. I wouldn't go out there and fish it myself, but maybe late summer I might go out there and throw some spoons or something like that. But you never know. That could be a good area. It's got a pond off the side of it, and it's got a road bed on one side of it. It's a fairly decent hump. It comes up about 8 feet from the depth, from 30 feet. So could be good. Definitely a deep area. There is a shallow point right out here. I don't know if you can see it, but here you got 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet, and then you kind of got 8. So this one little area right in here, I would take a look at. Just see. It's like an underwater hump that, coming off the deep water. It could be a decent area and it could be nothing. It might just be a big old mud flat, but it never hurts to go back and scan it. Check out these submerged culverts anytime. Check out those road beds like we talked about. And again, if I'm following this creek bed back, it's starting to look like it's touching a bunch of docks back here. So come back here and take a look at these. It touches a bunch of docks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different docks it comes up against. Those could all be good docks to fish against. Again, here we've got another creek bed coming through here. This little point right here could be good around this dock. This creek bed, if it's touching those docks or getting anywhere close, I'm probably going to be fishing those docks. The same thing over here, this whole line of docks where this creek bed's right out here off the edge. Fish all of these. Fish that whole pocket of docks right there. All right, you got another hump that comes out here. Some shallow areas in between, but then it comes all the way up to 7 feet right here. So take a look at this hump, especially in the summertime. Fish those humps. There could also be shell beds on there too, so don't forget about that. And we're going to go down here a little bit further. Another good long point that comes out. Again, I think we marked it. I know I keep going back and saying that, but I think we already marked this one. But it is 6 feet, so it's very shallow. Good point. Creek bed on one side. Good drop-offs. Always a good area to focus on. Focus on that entire point that comes out there. And don't be scared to set out here and, 24 foot of water and cast back to 6 and bring it back to the boat. That has seemed to work for me better than trying to come up and cast to it from the sides. So I've got a good road bed that's back in here as well. Creek channel coming back in here, swinging around some docks. Good areas to take a look at. Just so many docks on this lake. It's crazy. We get out here. We've got a couple different points that are here. One's right here, 10 feet, dropping off to 20-something feet. So take a look at the top of that one. And then over here, you've just got this huge one. So that it's hard to say anything on here, but what I would definitely do is check out the road bed and check out the dock by the road bed. We're going to move up here. It says I got some flooded timber. And it just looks like a big old creek channel. Not seeing too much in here from an avionics that catches my attention, except for right in this spot right here. And that's going to be this long point that comes out. And we talked about this on the Google Earth Waypoints video as well, but there were some shell beds, I believe, that were right on the edge of this one. And there were some that were out on the edges of this one. So this is a really nice, good underwater flat point that you could fish. I could see fish being attracted there a lot. So take a look at that. That looks really, really good, especially on this this contour map. Moving back in here, just look at that creek bed. I don't see where it's touching anything, but it's always fun to fish the docks. And then we've got a couple road beds right here. You got a road bed here and a road bed here. And then I really like how there's a nice drop right here by these docks. I don't know what's going on here, but take a look at those two docks. They look like they could produce some good fish for you, or at least be a good area to produce some fish. You never know, might have a little Timmy in there. And then we've got a really long, shallow, flat point that comes way out here. Look at this thing, way out here. So if we come off of here, you can come all the way out here and be in 11 foot of water with a huge drop coming off the edge of it. So it wouldn't hurt to just scan that whole thing. Just scan it, see what's going on, find the area you want to fish, and then fish it. But there should be fish somewhere off of this point, somewhere in here that you're going to find some fish at some point in time. And then up here, you just got some really good drops, right? You're 4 feet to 15 feet right in here. So I'd just say that entire area, I would take a look at, scan it, see if it's worth your while to fish it. All right, we're almost to the end here. We're going to follow this creek bed back and see if it takes us anywhere. And really just a shallow flat, could be a good spawning flat back in here, nice and protected. I don't see anything else that's that really grabs my attention. I believe, yep, that finishes up for zone 2. So hope you guys really enjoyed this video. It definitely takes time to put these together, but super excited to do them for you, but also for myself, because it gives me all these new fishing places to go check out. If you guys like the information that you're getting, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It'll really help me. And as always, leave me a comment. Let me know if you have a lake you want me to break down. I'd be more than happy to do for you. Until then, tight lines, guys. Take care.